Welcome back, explorers. I'm Jamie, a teacher with the Santa Rosa Plateau Nature Education Foundation. On today's episode of Hawks, Rocks, and Nature Talks, we'll be continuing to explore the Santa Rosa Plateau Ecological Reserve. Come along with me. Welcome, explorers. Today we're back at the Santa Rosa Plateau with my good friend Rob. Hi, Rob.
Oh, hi, Jamie. We're so happy to see you.
What do we have here?
Well, this is a rosy boa constrictor, and she's one of the many species of snakes that lives up on the Santa Rosa Plateau, and she's a rescue animal that is unable to go back into the wild because she wouldn't be able to survive on her own. So she helps us with education programs here at the Visitor Center.
Oh, cool. And snakes like a rosy boa would live up here at the plateau?
Oh, yes, but they won't go everywhere just because, like all snake species and all living things, they're adapted to particular kinds of habitats.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of people out there think snakes can just crawl anywhere. They're just snakes.
Just snakes? Well, if you notice, the Santa Rosa Plateau has many varied landscapes.
You know, you're right. When I hike up here at the plateau, I do notice that there are sunny spots, shady spots, all kinds of different plants and animals. Even the trees look different in different areas.
Oh yes, the Santa Rosa Plateau is very biologically diverse, and one of the reasons why is because we have 6 distinct plant communities here on the plateau.
Plant communities, ecosystems, habitats. Let's explain those. Habitat, plant community, ecosystem, and biome. These are all terms that help us describe areas in the natural environment. A habitat is a place where a creature lives. It includes everything they need in order to survive, mainly food, water, and shelter. Habitats can be simple or complex. Some animals live within a small area. Some need a larger range of open space to find what they need to survive. Plant community refers to a group of plants that are found growing in the same area. Plant communities differ because different plants are adapted to different types of soil, water levels, temperatures, topography, and elevations. And as we know, plants provide both food and shelter to the animals that live near them. We use the word ecosystem when we're considering both the living things, like the plants and animals, and how they interact with the non-living things, like the rocks, soil, sunlight, and water. The key is the fact that they all interact, both the living and non-living, within the same system. Just like a habitat, ecosystems can be found in both small and large areas. Some of the largest areas we can study as ecosystems are called biomes. Biomes are large natural areas on Earth where the plants and animals have common characteristics due to the climate and topography of the area. There are several major biomes on Earth: desert biomes, tropical rainforest biomes, temperate forest biomes, grassland biomes, and more. Each has their own set of common characteristics that provide different habitats for different living things. It's important to remember that all living things need a place and space to survive and thrive.
Welcome to the grassland. And grasses are found on every continent except Antarctica. And as the name implies, most of the plants in this plant community are grasses.
Grass? Like in my yard?
Well, not exactly, but these grasses, the main ones, are the official state grass of California called purple needlegrass. And according to a rumor I started, this is what you see every time you look at the feet of the California grizzly bear on the California flag. These bunch grasses can live for decades, and it's the space between the bunches where, after winter rains, the poppies and the lilies and the lupins and a lot of wildflowers will be found.
Wow, I bet that's beautiful. Right now, the spaces in between look like they'd be good places for animals to go.
Mm-hmm.
What lives out here?
Ooh, I love your drawing.
Thanks.
Why don't you add a tarantula?
Oh, yeah, cool. What else lives out here in the grassland?
Well, let's see. You could add a gopher snake. You could put a scorpion. You could put a northern harrier hawk, which nests on the ground out here in the grassland.
Ooh, cool. Anything else?
Well, how about a kangaroo rat?
Oh, kangaroo rats. I know those guys. I've always wondered why they call them kangaroo rats.
Well, let me explain. Well, it's because they have long legs for hopping, and as they're hopping, they flick a tufted tail mid-air. And so as they're jumping, they're changing direction. So as they change directions as they're jumping, it's very difficult for a predator to follow that erratic movement. The open space between the grasses is so important for all of these animals. The open space between the grasses and the open expanse of the grassland.
Are trees part of the grassland too?
Yes, when you have trees intermixed with grassland, it's officially called savanna. Now, most savannas in the world have drought deciduous trees, which means since it's higher and drier, they need to conserve their water by dropping their leaves. This here on the Santa Rosa Plateau is a very rare kind of tree called the Engelmann oak. This is one of the only places in the world where you find the Engelmann oak. But let's go to a place that's a little lower where the water is, where we have a different kind of tree. Is this different or what?
Oh, it's so shady and cool.
Yes, earlier we were up in the savanna where those trees were more sparse. This is the oak woodland, also known as a forest, but an open canopy forest, sometimes known as. So this is the woodland, and what was up there that wants to come down here?
Oh, water.
Yes, and water is very heavy. So when it falls up higher where it's drier, up in the grassland, it will then make its way down. And with heavy water flowing down, life follows. So this down here, where there's more water, is an oak woodland. And these trees need an awful lot of water. A large oak can lose hundreds of gallons of water in a single day. And as water vapor goes out of leaves, liquid water goes into roots.
Oh, I know a term for that. That's called transpiration.
You got it. As plants lose water through their leaves, or transpire, they need a source of water to replace it at their roots. So these dense woodlands are found down in lower lying areas where the water is slowly flowing from high up to down here.
Wow, these trees really are huge, Rob, and I know they take a lot of water, but they seem to be creating a lot of habitat space too, right?
Oh, there are animals hiding behind these trees that are living inside these trees. There is a lot of habitat for a lot of animals, and if you were to listen real carefully, you could probably hear a lot of those animals right now.
Wow, you really can hear so many different animals.
Well, let's continue following the route of the water down to where there's a different kind of habitat called the wetland.
Hey, is that water I hear?
Yep, we're at a low point and the water.
I don't see much water though. I was expecting more.
You don't see much now because it hasn't rained in many months, and the water that is here is hidden in the soil. Soil is like a big sponge that soaks up water and holds it. Come back to this spot after a few rainstorms, and the soil sponge beneath our feet will be saturated, unable to hold more water, and a bigger stream will form at the lowest point.
So, since we're lower and there's water, this must be a different ecosystem, right?
Yes, this is the riparian wetland. Jamie, do you remember how a plant gets water?
Well, I know a plant takes in water through its roots. Is that what you mean?
Yes, but what does a plant's leaves need to do first?
Oh, that's part of transpiration. They need to lose it in order to gain it. The water needs to evaporate out of the leaves and into the atmosphere, so the water can replace it into the roots from the soil.
Right. A leaf's main job is photosynthesis. Its second job is transpiration. Knowing that, what is this leaf telling you about how much water it needs?
So a bigger leaf must lose more water.
Right again. Down here is the only place where you'll find a California sycamore tree. These are the largest leaves of any tree native to North America. And down here where the water is, it's the riparian biome.
So, if this is a riparian wetland, I don't always think of Southern California as being that wet. How much rainfall do we usually get?
We average about 20 inches per year, but not every year. Sometimes it's only 8 inches per year and there will be hardly any water down there.
Oh, that's more than I was expecting. So, what happens to all the animals if there's no water?
Well, there's usually at least a little water in pools called tinajas along the stream beds. But some animals, like aquatic animals, turtles and frogs, they'll have to dig under the ground and go dormant waiting for the rain to return.
There's turtles up here at the plateau?
The Santa Rosa Plateau has the state's only native freshwater turtle, the southwestern pond turtle.
Are they like frogs and newts that lay their eggs in the water?
No, turtles need dry ground to lay their eggs. So pregnant females will leave the riparian area under the cover of nightfall and go over 100 yards sometimes to find a suitable location for their eggs and will dig a hole with their hind legs to deposit them.
So, like sea turtles on the beach.
Very similar, although they'll need to wander a much further distance to find dry enough ground to have those eggs safe. We should go see one of those locations that's dry enough where she would possibly find a place for those eggs.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, as you can see, we've left the riparian area and we're up here where it's higher and drier now.
You can definitely tell the difference. It's really bright out here. The trees don't offer much shade, and they have really small leaves too.
Well, it is higher and drier, but this is where the turtles like to go and lay their eggs. They'll sometimes even go as far as chaparral. So if we go that far, are you prepared? Did you bring your water?
I brought water, but I'm out. But I do really want to explore further.
Well, then we shall, but we'll go to the visitor center first, we'll get some water, and then we'll go out because there's always more to explore.
Let's go.